debaters and audiences, welcome to the octo finals round of PEO English OPA Debate Competition 2018. The motion for today's debate is this House believes that Employee Self-Development Program of Pengembangan Diri Pegawai, besides DICLAD, should be removed from employee productivity calculation. On my right, speaking as the affirmative is the team from PLN Wilayah Sulawesi Selatan, Sulawesi Tenggara, dan Sulawesi Barat, with Ms. Ria as the first speaker, Mr. Satyon as the second speaker, and Mr. Bagus as the third speaker. And on my left, speaking as the opposition is the team from PLN Distribusi Jawa Barat, with Mr. Fadil as the first speaker, with Mr. Lamber as the second speaker, and Mr. Castil as the third speaker. And there are two panel adjudicators for this debate, is Mr. Calvin and Mr. James. Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, to start the debate, I would like to call Ms. Ria from the affirmative team to deliver the speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, this House believes that Employee Self-Development Program of Pengembangan Diri Pegawai or PDP beside DICLAD should be removed from employee productivity calculation. But I want to define what is actually employee productivity itself. First is, for PLN employee productivity is the amount of employee per amount of energy sales. So it is measurable by that. So we don't have to make it the other PDP as the other sector as like a COP and knowledge sharing and knowledge capturing is a PDP anymore. But we want to clearly stance that we want to this DICLAD become the only one as a PDP itself because of I want to explain it in my substantive. Ladies and gentlemen, in status quo right now, we know DICLAD is no longer a PDP. But there are so many parameters like knowledge sharing, knowledge capturing, and also community of practice in this kind of PDP itself. But ladies and gentlemen, we believe it's really problematic right now. I want to declare in here why we want to abolish this kind of COP, knowledge sharing, and knowledge capturing itself. The first is why should only DICLAD become a PDP? Because of what? Because of three things. The first is DICLAD is triggering directly and give impact to the performance of the employee itself. Why I said like this? Because when we go to DICLAD, it is directly we are in the corporate university of PLN. We get the knowledge by this instructor, and we get the evaluation. We get training before the evaluation, and it's scoring and it's measurable and directly impact to our job and our daily activity. The second is that they are clearly focused on their own position. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that in PLN we have so much structural and so much position. So we have to make it identify clearly which one is go to this kind of DICLAD and which one to that properly get the knowledge by this kind of DICLAD. And the third is there's a scoring standard. There's a scoring standard in DICLAD itself, so we can directly match up it with the scoring and the KPI or target of its unit, so we can get the employee productivity. And the second is why if we didn't make DICLAD as PDP, it will make less motivation to our employee itself. And the second is they cannot get the knowledge itself. Why I said like that? Because in the fact in UDICLAD decreasing 35% if they didn't make DICLAD as PDP.
And to begin the case of opposition, I would like to call Mr. Fadil.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. gentlemen. Good morning. I want to make a clarification about the definition of this motion. First of all, employee self-development program is a program that every employee can take. They can choose every program they want. It's very flexible because they can enhance what skill they already know, what skill they best at. So they can choose the not only based on managerial decision, but they can pick what they best at. So employee self-development program is the way they're gonna explore and enhance their ability. It's very effective because the employee can choose it which skill set they want to develop more, and we can get more knowledge in not only in work area but in other work. And Ms. Ria said that knowledge sharing is only the development program. Knowledge sharing is not only the development program. This DIKLAT is the only way to increase the productivity, and I'm not agree with that because this kind of activity we join at right now is one of the self-employed development program. Our managerial level can give us credit because we join so many productive activity like this, because this kind of program like English competition is making our fluency and our public speaking is good. If we join in volunteer program, we can make our teamwork, our decision making, our awareness, our empathy is good. If we join in competition, in innovation, we can emphasize our critical thinking. So, in our opinion, this self-employed development program should not be removed from employee productivity calculation. So we can keep we can keep this employee self-development program as employee productivity calculation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fayol. The speech lasted 4 minutes and 27 seconds. And to continue the affirmative case, I would like to call Mr. Satya to deliver this speech.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As the second speaker from the affirmative team, I would like to stand with our stance that this House believes that employee self-development program of PDP beside the DIKLAT from the should be removed from employee productivity calculation, because we believe that only DIKLAT should be involved in the scoring of the employee productivity calculation. But first of all, as the government team, we would like to rebut the only one statement from our opposition team. They said that yes, it's actually PDP is such as English competition is actually increasing the skills, but not directly give a significant effect to our productivity calculation. As we know, in PL and productivity calculation is the amount of employee divided by the amount of the sales. So it will give the direct impact in our unit. Yeah, you get it, right? So now I'm gonna deliver my arguments. Consists of 6 arguments. Please hear it clearly. The first one is in the current status quo, training is not involved. This is so bad because DIKLAT is a standard of how employee competency training and assessment being measured. No thanks. It's already have a structure and applied through all the unit in our PLN unit. No sir, please wait. The second one is the number of employees attend the training start to decrease because DIKLAT is not involved in scoring of the employee development competency.
Go ahead, please.
No sir, you must wait. Thank you. And the third one is PDB such as knowledge management, knowledge capturing, GOP, or another example is not the exact measurement. I will give you an example. This Jakarta team consists of three people. This Jakarta team consists of 3 people. Only one work for the development. Only one work for the competition. The rest of 2 is the third wheeling. But still, the rest of 2 is appreciated for the scoring now. Thank you. Let me finish my argument first. So it's not an exact measurement because it's not fair for the rest of the groups. The fourth argument is employee development should be adjusted to activity or fit for proper test and also the competency needed for the position in our units. Because DCLAT is already cover the structure, the measurement, the competency, the practice, and also the assessment. And then the fifth is the training is give significant effect, such as that I told before. And last is productivity itself is the amount of employee divided by the number of competency. It's actual impact given by the employee effort, not only just a single person development. That's 6 arguments that we want to deliver. So I'm going to link it back that we believe that PDP should be removed because we only believe that DCLAT should be involved. By that, we make the purpose.
Speech is for 3 minutes. And I would like to invite Mr. Lambert to continue the case from the opposition.
Yes, thank you for the arguments. First, I want to rebut about the argument that the affirmative teams delivered before. They're talking about DCLAT to be counted as productivity calculation of employees. DCLAT is mostly about hard skills. Hard skills without balanced soft skills doesn't worth anything in working work, as we know. And then I want to strengthen or emphasize the argument that the first speaker of opposition team has delivered. First, productivity mostly based on employees' competency. Either it is hard or soft. And it is obtained not only from DCLAT, but also from outside DCLAT. Competency starts from self-development. Either it is in DCLAT or outside. And also, competency can help employees to thrive in his job. Either soft or hard skills. That will support and act as a backbone of productivity of an employee. And then comes to my argument. First, the only argument that I want to deliver is that self-development beside DCLAT is mandatory for mostly soft skills. Why?
Yes, sir.
No, thank you. For example, we are joining this Olympiad that will develop our communication skills, critical thinking skills, and also problem-solving skills. The other program that could develop our itself is volunteering program, like what happens to cities like in Palu and etc. That could develop our awareness, empathy, and communication to society. Third, the example is that if we join innovation competition program, for example, that will develop our critical thinking and also innovation thinking. Those set of soft skills comes into one big soft skill that will help us to increase our energy sales, which is problem solving. With problem solving, we can solve the problems that we encounter when we are in working work. For example, we are having difficulty to gain more energy sales from like selling electricity to people. Then we can communicate. We can do some teamwork with our teams to get the to get the problem solved. So it's not only about working like horse. It's about communicating and teamwork to our teams.
Guys, sir,
Yes.
we think that even if you're not involving innovations and competition in the PDP or employee productive calculations, we say that still people do that because reward and social judgment is still there that stimulate that kind of people in our society.
Yes. Yes, you're talking about DCLAT, and it's only about hard skills. But increasing soft skills is also substantial to increase our productivity. So our management will only evaluate us not only based on our hard skill but also in soft skills. So that's why soft skill outside DCLAT is very important to the existence of PLN. So that's why we support self-development program to be concluded in employee productivity calculation.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. The speech lasted for 3 minutes. And to end the affirmative case, I would like to call the third speaker, Mr. Bagus. You may have the floor.
This debate we're going to talk about whether or not DCLAT the only one that can involve in employees productivity calculation, ladies and gentlemen. As propositions, we totally agree with that. As oppositions, we have to prove that DCLAT is not that necessary to involve in employee productivity calculations, and we believe in Karang about knowledge management, knowledge sharing, innovations, that the one that should be involved in employee productivity calculations. Now, we think they are not engaged in this debate. What they're talking about, this debate when it talks about these people or employees have the right to choose what they want. Number one, we think that we are not limiting people to such self-actualization, ladies and gentlemen. We think allowing that people. What we don't want actually, this self-actualization should not be involved in employee productivity calculations because not directly engage the exercise of productivity or performance of company, organizations, even the individual itself, ladies and gentlemen. Even this is completely harmful and complicated. Now, when they're talking that, hey, they know more what they want. Now, we still load at particular people. Even we still give such an appreciations in terms of, yeah, within Karang score, there is social judgments, appreciation, certificate, reward still there. That still stimulate that people, but not in the terms of involving employee productivity calculation itself. Now, second, we think that they are saying that in Karang score, our proposal is only about hard skill. No, sir. We think that declared our training also involving soft skill and also hard skill. In management training, self communication skill also being teach on that particular declared. That's how we say this is good, and this is can engage all our particular employees. They don't really understand about this. But second, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about this is only degrees for dignity in English programs or on this or like in status quo itself. Number one, we think that the mechanisms of knowledge management is completely complicated. Number one, this is unfair. Why? Unmeasurable. Even second, we think that in the terms of COC or even in meeting, just to fulfill the requirement of the member of this group, they try to take randomly people in as a team, ladies and gentlemen. More often, the appreciation should be in the whole of a team. We think this is unfair because the one that actually working on that particular thing is just particular people, not all as a team. That's why we don't want this actually include as employee productivity calculation. But second, what is exclusive in declared or training? What is measurable? There is expertise, there is teachers, and there is scoring that can make sure that these people actually to get appreciation in terms of employee productivity calculation itself. Now, last one, why in Karang score it's finally less motivation to get training or declared? When you're not involving declared in employee productivity calculation, we said that there's people less of motivation to go to declared itself, ladies and gentlemen. However, this is so very harmful because declared something that directly engage to productivity and performance of employees, which is directly the feedback for the performance of organizations of company because related to your job desk, ladies and gentlemen. For example, you are as a transition energy. We think that this will specific with you, not what they want. We are talking about. I don't know what they want to talk about, like what they're talking about LNA or not, because when they're talking about these people have right to do everything as they want, to choose what they want. We think this is not like, we think this is so bad because the management actually no more which declared actually based on your capability and based on your job desk. That's what we believe that we probably do propose. Thank you.
And to end the opposition skills, I would like to call Mr. Castillo to deliver this speech.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to classify this debate into two main arguments. While the affirmative agree that remove employee self-development will give productivity calculation will give more impact because they think PDP is the only aspect for that. While we are not agree because we know beside the declared employee activity, as long as it's positive, will give impact to our company because the value of someone is not only calculated by the PDP from declared, but from outside also. Before going to the argument, I would like to make a clear statement what first speakers and second speakers say. I think the first speaker and second speakers and also the third speaker has already made an unclear statement and failed to understand what is the meaning of productivity here. The productivity calculation here meaning that how the manager evaluate their staff, but by what activity they do. So the productivity is the ability of a man to give a result of something and give an impact. If I was a boss, I would give an extra chance for someone give outside activity from PDP like Olympiad or volunteer.
Sir?
No, thank you. This productivity means here. And going to the argument, like our first speaker and second speaker say, productivity is based on competency. Competency based on the human resources development. So by giving the development outside from declared will give more impact. Like the second speaker say, it will give an Olympiad English will give us no thank you. Will give us capability to public speaking and the volunteer and the others. So, by using excuse me, no, thank you. Employee self-development outside of PDP will give our company more benefit and should be calculated in productivity calculation.
Guys,
No, thank you. And the first speaker says the calculation is energy per kWh cells, and you say PDP is also the variable. I think there's no correlating between the energy per kWh cells is the productivity calculation with PDP. It's not really correlation. I think we have to make a clear statement about that. So the conclusion, we are stand with our motion that by operation performance
For 2 minutes.
calculation.
And now I would like to invite our educators to give a general comment of this debate.
Okay, so this is a motion about employee productivity calculations. I see how the debate goes. So, affirmative trying to define employee productivity by saying that it's numbers of employee per energy cells. I think that is a good setup towards the debate, and I think that all of you are doing trying to prove why, at the end of the day, everything should be measured according to those kind of standards, and what is the best to measure, because you have a standard, you have a claim parameter, you have an evaluations, and what's the best is that it's fair, because like everybody will be included inside the club, instead of like the self-PDP, which is subjective, and you know, it's only benefit the student program. While the opposition are trying to say that soft skill is also important, I somehow agree to this kind of argument, but I think that this argument could be a lot more stronger if you can try to redefine what is employee productivity calculation should be instead of what it is in the moment. I think that if employee productivity only talking about employee per entry cells, I was wondering if it's going to be fair and if it's going to cover like all department, because like probably some department is not directly engaged to energy cells, like HR for example. HR is only managing managing recruitment, managing payroll, and all of that stuff. Do you think that would be directly engaging to energy cells? I think that would be fair for you to say that what an ideal employee productivity calculation should encompass is that it should encompass more of the like broader things, like for example things that also covering that also cover things outside of energy cells, so that it would be fair for all of the department, like HR department, for example, finance department, calculation department. So it was stressing important why to develop soft skills and other skills that might not directly related to energy cells is also important for energy productivity. So that's probably my
yeah. In the appraisal system, sometimes there's different types of calculations. Like for example, if you were a lower level worker, yeah, most likely it's what you produce is what's most important. The thing is, when you're at higher levels, yes, at some point in time, you need the interpersonal skills in order to excel at your job, especially at a managerial level. But the thing is, I would have liked to see more data on training needs, and also how it directly impacts your revenue per cost center, basically. Because I mean, every cost center is different. Okay, how can those training needs match up directly with your cost center, right? But then, yeah, I thought on the opposition, I think it was good that you mentioned employee value. Yeah, it's very hard to assess the value of an employee. Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's people that produce a lot, but then they may not be the best people. You know, they may not have the best personality, but yeah, they're very productive, right? You know, they actually produce a lot. And the thing is, sometimes people, they attend all these workshops, but there's no direct impact to their job also, on the other hand. And from the affirmative side, yeah, basically, yeah, I was looking, yeah, like Calvin said, looking for more about your appraisal. Okay, so what is actually contained in that, and then how do these training needs match up with your cost center, basically. But yeah, I think you both did an excellent job, so good for you.
Thank you, educators. And to all the debaters, we are going to have a topic briefing announcement at 10 past 12 in the morning. So please do not leave the building. Thank you.
Saban dulu, Sa. Lupa.